The Monday, June 9th, 2025 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there's a quorum of the council present. Agenda item number 2, invocation. Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, followed by the United States Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge, which will be led by the City Council. Please rise.
May we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you as always for every blessing that you bestow upon us, for your watch care over us as we go through our daily lives. We pray for our council tonight as they make important decisions for the city, that you'd guide and direct them in that. We thank you for their service and their willingness, Father, to do that. And we just pray that our city might prosper under their direction. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Before we move on to the Citizens Forum, I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Ellis, who's going to inform us a little bit more of the events that are going around our town.
Okay, this coming Monday from 9 a.m. until 11, you can have coffee with cops at McDonald's. And then the ongoing 903 Sunset concerts are this Thursday evening at the Downtown Plaza. Next Thursday, the municipal band concert, next Friday, the municipal band concert is in Bywaters Park at 8:30 p.m. For more events, please check out visitparistexas.com.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ellis.
You're welcome.
We will now move on to the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council, council members, or employees, as well as an individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for a citizens forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. Citizens Forum is now open. Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and close the Citizens Forum. Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and be considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item from the agenda for discussion? Okay, if not, is there a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda? We've got a motion. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Moving on to the regular agenda. Agenda item number 9, recognition of outgoing Councilmember Rudy Kessel for his service. Councilmember Kessel, not to put you on the spot, but we're going to recognize you. So, so thank you for all that you've done. On behalf of the City Council and staff, I just want to express how much we appreciate you and all the time that you've dedicated in serving your community. Thank you to your family also for allowing us to borrow you from time to time to be able to conduct the matters in business for the people, and we really appreciate you for that. We do have a proclamation we'd like to present you, and after we read the proclamation, we'd like to go down, present you with a little memento, a plaque, and just take a group picture as a council.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So the proclamation reads, whereas Rudy Kessel was elected to serve as council member for District 7 of Paris in May 2023, and whereas Rudy Kessel has served the citizens of Paris, Texas with dedication and distinction, and whereas Councilmember Kessel has served as the council liaison to the Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Commission, and whereas Rudy Kessel, with his knowledge and understanding of insurance and private business, has been instrumental in assisting with retaining current industries in Paris, Lamar County, Texas. And whereas Councilmember Kessel can be largely credited with his support for city projects, including advocating for a housing assessment, and whereas Councilmember Kessel's commitment to the well-being of our community and tireless efforts to improve the lives of our residents are deeply appreciated. And I, Mihir Pankaj, Mayor, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby honor and recognize Councilmember Rudy Kessel for his dedication and distinguished service to the City of Paris. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Paris, Texas, to be affixed on this 9th day of June 2025. We really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. If council and Mr. Kessel, if you don't mind meeting us down here. Rudy, we want to present this plaque to you, and I want to read it. It says, "Considered with appreciation to Rudy Kessel for dedication, outstanding service to the City of Paris, Texas. Councilmember, District 7, May 2023 to May 2025. We absolutely appreciate you. We have both of these proclamation and plaque. So come on by, let's take a picture together." Thank you so much.
I should have got up and photobomb. We should have done that for fun. We should have, next time we're photobombing. Yeah, we should have.
All right. Moving on to agenda item number 10, issuance of certificate of election, administer statement of elected officer to council members, and administer oath of office to newly elected council members. Ms. Ellis?
Yes, as you all remember, that Mihir Pankaj for District 4, Rebecca Normant for District 5, and Tracy Atterbury for District 7 were unopposed. So if all of you will meet me down front, we will take your new oaths of office. That I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council Member, State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and of this state and the ordinances of this city. So help me God. You all will come right here, I'll let you sign. There's 2 pages. Tracy versus Roger.
is coming back. I might have to get my oxygen. It's hard, but then I said it's hurt. That's what I thought the last time I did. I didn't even go pick up Race. I thought I had COVID.
I was just saying, she could have sworn she had COVID, but she took the test today. COVID.
Plus, it's all politics. We still be having COVID. They won't test us.
Yeah.
Already gone.
Okay. Agenda item number 11, election by the City Council of Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem to serve the City of Paris for the next year. Prior to the election, I'm going to read just the procedure so that way it's clear. Want to make sure everyone understands what the procedures look like, and we'll move forward. We will first start off with Mayor, and then we'll go to Mayor Pro Tem. What we will do is I'll open the floor. The floor will be open to nominations. We'll go with the first nomination. If there's any other nominations, we list them, and then we will take a vote with that first nomination, that first name that was listed, and then if there's a majority, then we're good. If there isn't, then we'll go to that second nomination. If there's a majority there, then we'll call that. And then we'll do the same thing for Mayor Pro Tem. Understood? All right. Okay. So the floor is open for nominations for the office of mayor.
I nominate Mihir Pakish.
Okay, is there any other nominations? Okay, wow, all right, thank you. All right, well, then we'll go ahead and vote on that. All in favor for Mihir Pankaj for mayor of the city of Paris, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. The floor is open for nominations for the office of Mayor Pro Tem.
I nominate Gary Savage.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. We will go ahead and vote for for Mr. Savage. All in favor for Mr. Savage for Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Paris, Texas? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right. We will now move on to number 12, agenda item number 12. Convene an executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from an attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and or 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to his/her client under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter. The time is 5:43 p.m., and the City Council will now convene into executive session. All right. The time is 6:24 PM, and the city council is back in open session. There is no action to be taken regarding any executive session item. We will move on to agenda item number 14, receive the 2025 wastewater cost of service study from Nugent Strategies and Solutions. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, as you know, or most of you do, except perhaps our newest council member, Paris has 4 treated water customers that require a contract because of the volume that they have. And so those contracts require us to have a rate study every year. And those 4 contract customers' rates is determined based on the terms of those contracts. But as a byproduct of the rate study, all the other customer classes, residential, commercial, and industrial that does not have a contract, those rates are also determined what they ought to be in accordance with city rate maintenance policies and that sort of thing. I've got Chris Eckroot, who's with Nugent Strategies, who's been our rate consultant for a number of years now, and he's going to do a presentation on the findings. Chris?
Well, thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Chris Eckert with Nugent Strategies and Solutions. Pleasure to be with you tonight to present the findings from the 2025 water and wastewater rate study. Again, I'll try and be respectful of your time and go through this as expeditiously as I can, but to the extent you have questions, please don't hesitate to stop me at any point. As Gene said, again, the rate study is needed because of the contracts you have with those treated water customers. We look back for those treated water customers. We look at actual expenses. For your retail customers, we look at budget. And so really what I'm here to do tonight is really address the retail findings from the study. The contract customer rates do go into effect automatically based on the results of the study. So the only action needed from the council is really relative to those retail rates. And that's what we're visiting here about this evening. I will remind you, previously in 2022, the council did adopt a sewer rate ordinance that had a whole series of sewer rate increases. Those increases were necessary because of the wastewater plant project. And again, you're all aware of that project and the expense of that project. That's why those multi-year rate increases were needed. Under that ordinance right now, you have been paused with no increases in wastewater rates, but those will pick up again this coming October. So October 25, April 26 are the next programmed in wastewater rate increases under that ordinance. Again, the last wastewater rate increase was April 24. On the water side, the last time you adjusted water rates was June of 2022. So it's actually been 3 years since you've addressed water rates. I will also remind you the city did in 2010 adopt a rate maintenance policy. This is a policy that the city council adopted that basically governs how the city sets rates. This makes sure that you as a city maintain the proper financial resources to operate the enterprise fund. I'll remind you that the water and wastewater utility is an enterprise fund. What that means for you as a city is that it is a business type activity of government, and we operate it and run it like a business. In order for us to do that, we have to make sure that revenues match or exceed expenses. We have to monitor our reserves, make sure we maintain adequate reserves, and we have to reinvest in that system. We have pipes, plants, pumps. All of these things are expensive. All of these things have to be replaced over time. So again, as we look at this rate maintenance policy, we are looking at this as a business policy for the utility. The rate maintenance policy makes sure that we can pay our debt. It makes sure that we have adequate operating reserves and adequate contingency reserves going forward. The other element that the rate maintenance policy provides the city is the debt rating agencies look at this policy in your compliance with this policy. That has led to a higher bond rating for the city. And there's an inverse relationship between the bond rating and the interest rate. So if you monitor this policy, continue to follow this policy, it can lead to a higher bond rating, can lead to lower long-term borrowing costs. So we recommend the city continue to follow this policy going forward as you monitor your water and sewer rates. So with that said, based on this year's study, we do find that retail water rates are insufficient at this time. We are recommending that you consider an 8 1/4 or 8.25% increase in water rates. Again, you have not done anything with water rates since 2022. We've been sufficient, but we are now at that period where we are not meeting that rate maintenance policy under current rates. Our operating reserves have dwindled slightly, and our debt service coverage is insufficient. So we are recommending that 8.25% increase in rates, and I'm going to show you what that means to an average customer here in just a second. At the same time, we're recommending that the City Council continue to follow the wastewater rates adopted back in 2022, continue on that schedule in order to pay your debt on the wastewater side as well. Again, that is already in ordinance, it's already in effect, so no action is necessarily needed there, but just be aware that that ordinance is there. So what does an 8.25% increase look like in water rates? On the screen right now, you see those residential water rates, the current column, what they are now, what we're proposing as a course of this study in that far right-hand column. But let's talk about what this means to a customer if we can. Let's start 2,000 gallons. 2,000 gallons is a lower volume water user. Often this is a single person in a home by themselves, potentially widower living by themselves. That'd be $1.41 a month would be what that increase would translate to. So $1.41 monthly increase. A 5,000 gallon home, that's your average single family home. Likely doesn't have a pool, but maybe doing some yard watering there. That's $3.10 a month is that increase. 10,000 gallons, that is going to be a larger volume water user, somebody watering their yard, using more water there. That's $5.90 a month with this increase. The chart I have for you here, what we've done is we've gone in and we wanted to gauge the impact of this 8.25% increase. Again, you see on the left-hand side here, 2022 was the last time we adjusted water rates. That's that $37.90 bill for a 5,000 gallon customer. The line that you see plotted on the screen there, what we did is we went in and we took a index from the Federal Reserve. This is the Water, Sewer, and Trash Collection Index published by the St. Louis branch of the Federal Reserve. They go in and they look every year at what increases are for residential customers in their water, sewer, and trash bill. That index right now, as we look over the past several years, it's been running about 4.96% a year. Had the city taken the same rate action and applied a CPI index to the rate back in 22, your rate right now would be $43.19. As I said before, we're only recommending that you take that rate to $40.40. So even with this increase, you are still behind what the rate of inflation has been. As we look at your operations, you're still being a very cost-effective water provider, particularly as we compare to other providers in the industry. So again, while it is an 8.25% increase, you are running behind the rate of inflation as we look at the recommended adjustment. On the commercial side, again, you see what those rates are with that increase. As we look at the impact to commercial customers, 5,000 gallon commercial customer, but that'd be $3.27 monthly increase. On the 10,000 gallon side, it's just over $6 monthly increase there with that water adjustment. As we look at the same chart where we apply that inflation-adjusted rate, had the city adjusted rates kept up with inflation, that 5,000 gallon commercial bill would be $45.74. We're only recommending you take that to $42.77. So again, you're still running behind the rate of inflation overall on the water side. On the wastewater side, what you see here, again, current, that's the current rates. We have October 25, April 26. Those are the previously adopted sewer rates from Ordinance 2022-074. As we look at the impact of those rates, you see what those increases look like there in October 25. For a 2,000-gallon customer, that's $2.24 a month. Then again, another increase in April 26, $2.39 a month. For that 5,000-gallon customer, October 25, $5.57 a month. April 26, $5.96 a month. Again, this is all necessary to service the debt associated with the wastewater treatment plant project. Without these increases, you will not be able to pay that debt back. You will not be following that rate maintenance policy that's been adopted. So again, it's our recommendation you continue to stick with those increases going forward. On the commercial wastewater side, again, you see those same stair-step increases. The impacts for commercial, focusing on that 10,000-gallon customer, $12 more a month, effective in October. April 26, $12.85 for that 10,000-gallon wastewater customer. As we put the water and sewer bill together, we want to provide a comprehensive look. What does all of this look like, taking water and wastewater together? What is that bottom line bill? For that 5,000-gallon single-family customer right now, $123.18. If you move forward with the water rate increase we're recommending, that's the $3.10 a month that you see. And again, we've just labeled that June 25 based on our recommendation at this time. You would then have the wastewater increases in October 25, April 26. I'll remind you, the reason we've spaced this out is to try to provide relief for your residents where we can, not implementing those rate increases until absolutely necessary. We understand this spaces out. It could be one where you could come in and do all of those increases at one time. We'd recommend that you continue to space that out and try and prevent rate shock as much as possible. But as we look at the commercial bills, again, focusing on that 10,000-gallon bill, you see those three increases, water, sewer, there in April 26. Now, this next chart, I've shown the council this chart every year, and I think I've said the same thing every year. Every council I'm in front of wants to know, how do we look compared to everybody else? And so we provide this information, but you have to remember, when you're looking at comparisons like this, it is not an apples-to-apples comparison. Every community is different. Not every community is like the city of Paris and undertaking a massive wastewater treatment plant project. There are other cities on this list that send their sewage elsewhere to be treated. They don't run their own wastewater treatment plant. So you have to take into account those differences anytime you're looking at this information. But again, this is a comparison for that 5,000-gallon customer. The blue bar is the water bar. The green bar is the sewer bar. If you're just looking at the blue bar there, the water bar, $37.30, our recommendation is to take that to $40.40. If we took the sewer side off and just looked at the water side, you can see that the city is an extremely competitive water provider if we're just looking at water only. However, we do have that wastewater treatment plant project that you had to undertake in order to maintain regulatory compliance. That is a significant project, a significant amount of debt that the city took on, which is why you see that wastewater bill where it is, $85.88, coming into October of this year, that bill going to $91.44. At the same time, as we look at the wastewater side, one other rate that we do look at every year is your excess strength surcharge. So what you're looking at here is a rate that we're recommending under the proposed column that you charge your industrial customers for wastewater that is excess strength, meaning there's more stuff in the wastewater than what's coming out of a domestic household. This ensures that those customers that produce a more potent waste stream that cost more to treat, that they pay for that treatment at the same time. So again, we are recommending that you adopt the increases you see here to that wastewater surcharge amount. So again, with that, understand nobody wants to increase rates, but as we look at how the city's costs have structured and how the time that has passed since a water rate increase, we recommend that increase so that you can keep up with that rate maintenance policy. happy to answer any questions that you as the council may have this evening.
Mr. Eckert, first and foremost, thank you for coming out and presenting to us. It's good to see you again.
You as well.
But there's always that but. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but we on a daily basis, we on council get so many complaints about the rates, right? And I understand we kind of were dealt an unlucky situation. It kind of is what it is, and we've learned our lesson as a city to say, hey, let's not kick the can down the road, right? But I think the issue that we have here is it is ridiculously high to pay some of these funds. Are we employing all the tools, just for clarity, are we employing all the tools necessary to save as much as we can for our taxpayers and citizens?
As I have looked at your water and wastewater utility, I believe you have. I believe city staff has looked at this every which way they can to make sure that they are maintaining the lowest cost of service possible. When you really break down that structure, a lot of this is driven by that wastewater treatment plant debt. The first time I was in front of this council was in 2012, and I believe we were talking about the wastewater treatment plant then. That project did not start until, I want to say it was 2019, 2020. That cost of delay is really why the sewer rates are what they are. But prior councils took action. They did what was needed to be done. You have to have a sewer treatment plant. You can't just collect the sewage and not let it go anywhere. You've got to take care of that. So the city is in regulatory compliance. You are doing the right things that need to be done. And ultimately, this will taper off. You will get to a point where you are having just minor increases to keep up with inflation while you're seeing other cities go through what you're going through. You will see them go through these significant capital improvement programs where they're having to take that difficult action. Again, I think the city is doing everything it can right now, and I have confidence that your city staff will continue to do the same thing. Again, we're happy to work with the city and see where we can find potential savings, but I think your staff has done a great job to make sure that they can maintain the lowest cost of service.
I agree with that, and I just wanted to kind of ask that question for the record. I mean,
Understand.
simply because we get that question all the time.
Absolutely.
And, if we could, I wish we could take it down. But there's not much more we can do, or else we don't function as a city. We don't get to actually maneuver how we need to and stay competitive. And so I think, unfortunately, it's just our time in the line to have our time. The next city down the road will have theirs, too, whenever theirs comes to fruition. The other question I have is in terms of I understand you're proposing a water rate increase, but what about, for the wastewater, I think you had said October 25 and April 26.
Yes, sir.
Anything beyond that, is there anything else that we have?
There is nothing else in that ordinance. There's nothing else scheduled on the wastewater side at this time. We will continue to monitor it after April 26 to make sure you're generating sufficient revenue. But that ordinance was designed to align with those debt issues and make sure that you could pay that debt. So at this time, that ordinance stops April 26.
Gotcha.
That's the last increase.
I will state, I do appreciate you stating that we could have gone the full hike at one time.
Yes, sir.
But, hey, slowly going up little by little, we're trying to function and give the ratepayers the best opportunity to be able to swallow that high increase. And so I do appreciate that being acknowledged for the record there, too. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was looking at the page where you were showing the different cities, what the residential water rate was. What do you think the factors are that would make Sulphur Springs their bill half of what Paris is? So I don't know what factors, but I'm wondering that.
Yeah, I unfortunately, I cannot speak to that. I don't know the details behind that. I don't know how they're running their business. We do have a number of clients that unfortunately they will go many, many years without an increase, and then they'll come in all at once, and they may have 30, 40, 50% increase at that time if they're not properly running their business. I can't speak to if that's the situation in Sulphur Springs. Again, I don't have those details, but you'd really have to understand how they've chosen to run their business.
Right. It stood out because, neighboring
Absolutely.
city, pretty comparable in size, and you see half,
Yes.
My only question is like, how does population growth or decrease, does it affect these numbers at all? I mean, if we have a boom, I mean, it means
So
more people paying for water.
Absolutely. If you are in a position that you can add another resident, you can add another house and not add to your fixed cost. So let's take the wastewater treatment plant, for example. It can serve a certain number of homes. If we can serve more homes but not expand that plant, you're spreading the fixed cost out over more people, and you can bring that unit rate down.
Right.
Now, again, rates don't necessarily come down in this situation until that debt is paid off, and this debt is, I believe it's 30-year debt. I believe that's subject to check. Subject to check. But when you look at O&M expenses, for example, if we can serve more customers at the same fixed cost level that we're doing now, we can spread that cost over more customers and moderate pricing going forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Eckert, thank you so much, and I think we'll be seeing you at another council meeting soon. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the schedule is right now, but I'm always I can be here when you need me here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right, we will now move on to agenda item number 15. Discuss and act on approving matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Paris, Texas tax notes, Series 2025, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such tax notes and approving all other matters related thereto. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Thank you. This is a continuation of the discussion at our last meeting. I think it was actually 2 meetings ago, where we authorized to go out for tax note on several fire apparatus. But getting into our budget and looking at our capital improvement plan, I was able to see that there were other emergency services vehicles or equipment that we could purchase. So similar to the fire department, the police department also had some needs. And in addition to that, the city would like to purchase a tractor with a side shredder that will help with the efficiency and effectiveness of the work that the codes department is doing to keep all the property that we have inherited clear. So the total of the request for the tax notes now is $4,139,316. The estimated annual debt service payment would be around $690,000, and that's kind of, varies a little bit between year to year, but that's the average payment, and a 7-year note. This would be added to the interest and seeking portion of the tax bill. And a lot of cities now are doing this, although I don't know with the current legislation how much longer we'll be able to, but because we are so limited on the M&O portion of the tax bill, getting some of the needs that we have met on the INS side is a good option for us. And my recommendation is for council to approve the Tax Note Series 2025 ordinance in order to authorize the issuance of tax notes to purchase needed emergency services equipment and a tractor.
Council, I want to open up the floor for any discussion, any questions you may have. I will say this, I appreciate you getting really creative and figuring out within the legislation of how much time we have to be able to kind of get some of these expenses in. Otherwise, we would be in a different story, a whole nother different story a year from now. So I appreciate you really looking and digging deep and seeking out advice from departments to see, hey, what are your needs assessment? Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
Thank you for your support, and I know that our personnel really appreciate it as well, because as we know, there has been concerns about keeping up on their apparatus. So,
fantastic. Any other discussion? If not, I will hear a motion.
So moved.
We got a motion. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 16. Receive presentation from Todd Mickey about the engineering department.
Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be before you today, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. My name is Todd Mitke. I'm the city engineer. I've been here approximately 2.5 years, and some of you were present and voted for my employment here, and I appreciate that. But there are several new faces as well. So I'm here to provide a short presentation to you about the state of the engineering department, and it's brief, yet I encourage any questions. Feel free to halt me at any point, or there's a time for questions at the end too. But first of all, I want to introduce our engineering staff. They're not here with me today, but this is a picture of them. So Derek Dacus is our GIS coordinator, and Steve Hodges is our engineering technician. A little bit of background on each of them. Derek has been with the city approximately 5 years and has been present as the engineering technician and the GIS coordinator. And he is very technologically savvy and at the cutting edge of GIS technology, which stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's basically the online mapping that all cities our size and many smaller and every city bigger uses to monitor assets, both roadways, legislative districts, water, sewer assets, anything you can think of that can be mapped, GIS can do it, and Derek is very good at that. Steve Hodges is our engineering technician. He was with the city from 1984 through 2001, and then went on to have a career at TxDOT, and after retiring or graduating from TxDOT, I say, he came back to the city, and he is a wealth of knowledge from the perspective of, he knows when every city housing project that has been built from the 1960s on has been performed, both from institutional knowledge and just seeing when he was a little kid riding his bike from West Paris to the ball fields. And I listen to his stories every day of, this is when Morningside was built. This is when Park West was built, and several stories about that. And it's, as even though I've only been here 2.5 years, you get a 15,000-foot view, you get a 1,000-foot view, and you get a 25-foot view. And at any point during the day, as you have with your experience in Paris, you can walk, drive, bicycle to any point of town and get that 25-foot view. And one of my most joyous parts of the job is to get that view, but you got to start high and then get down into them. So I'm going to just talk about a few issues with the City of Paris Engineering, and we'll start with the 2025 Mill and Overlay project. That project has been in the works for a couple years, and we have gone out to bids and received our low bid for 12 streets in Paris. And it's a little bit small, but we have from Fitzhugh, Martin Luther King, Graham Street, North Collegiate, and West Sherman, all included. Can you see that on your screens, the small print there? Okay, it's a little bit small here, but basically, when I came here as a city engineer, we were consulting out everything. And one of my goals here was to utilize me and the staff that I have to do more in-house designs. And overall, that saves a lot of money, because a consultant for every little small project is minimum $20,000, it seems like. And if we can include that into existing wages that the city citizens already pay for, then we're value ahead there. But this is my first design with the City of Paris, and I'm very pleased that it came in under budget by about $300,000. And that's money that we can use for other parts of the city paving program that we had to cut out before. And so other than these streets, which I was frankly very close to deciding which one, and I talked to my management, of course, but which one we'd have to cut if bids came in high. Bids came in a lot lower than expected, so we had a clause in the contract that allows us to add streets as we would like. So I'm going to advocate for Center Street between North Main and 19th Northwest. We had cut all of that out, and I'd like to put back the worst parts of it into this, and maybe come up with some other streets possibly that are also get a large amount of traffic. So we're going to talk about that with Public Works as we go on. But we have a later agenda item in store for what the bidders are on that, so I won't be too detailed, but the low bid is with RK Hall Construction, a local paving company, and so that is exciting that they can start here in a few weeks and hopefully get done with the majority of streets before school starts. Now here's an example plan sheet of that. This is 24th Street Southeast. In a proactive move, our Public Works Department has found some sewer and water improvements that need to be done, and ahead of the paving program, they're doing that. So this is going to be a little bit later on the paving list, but they're getting some brand new sewer line and I think a few water lines. Is that true? And that once the street's cut open and consolidated, it'll actually have a couple months to keep settling a little bit, but we can come back and put a brand new surface on it and nobody will ever know that anything happened. And the folks will have better utility services as a result. The other design that we performed this year is the 7th Street Southwest concrete reconstruction. That is the access road that comes from the Loop up to Chisholm School District. And it is a partnership with CEFCO that they agreed to pay half, that our city attorney and management at the time, and along with Rose, negotiated with CEFCO to pay half, and that is one of the reasons why we were able to move this up. It doesn't get the amount of traffic that these other roads that are going to asphalt are, but it is able to take care of utilizing private money and then getting a new street that'll last a lifetime out there. It's a 9-inch thick concrete street that will outlive me, I'm confident of. Yes, sir.
How far up on 7th Street toward Chisholm Middle School or will that street go?
It'll only go just past the second CEFCO entrance.
CEFCO entrance, okay.
Yes, sir.
The second entrance.
Yeah, so this is the loop right here on this side on the right, and it actually goes it's showing from north to south.
Okay,
and
I got you.
It starts out at a 28-foot roadway, and most of the truck traffic comes in and comes into this entrance here, and then we have the traffic coming out this way. But I wanted to get as much width as we could, considering we had a water main that's just on the west side of the road up there. And so I worked closely with Public Works and their supervisors to get the back of curb, because we're also upgrading it to a curb and gutter system to help with the drainage a little bit. If we ever have a problem with that water main, they don't have to rip up any of the street there, and all the valves will be coming up through there safely, and as much of a proactive design as I can so that nothing has to be touched. But as you know, with utilities the way they are, our guys are not happy to, but they know their job, they know it well. They're out there at midnight in a rainstorm to fix it if it has to be fixed. And so if or when that happens, it can be outside of the roadway prism and they don't have to bust up a perfectly good roadway there. So we received 3 bids on this, utilizing a new online bidding system that I tried out. It's called Planet Bids. It worked out very well, except for when one of the companies that wanted to bid had their IT system go completely kaput down in Grand Prairie, and they could not bid on it. But it was all 3 bidders are local bidders that submitted bids in person this time. On the other project, the Mill and Overlay project, 2 of the bids were digitally and 1 was received by hand, but they're all considered equally in there. So the CEFCO project, 7 Southwest, is slated to begin if or when you approve the later agenda item. It can be done by the school district starting date. So I have 35 calendar days that it has to be done. So the low bid on this was Pridemore Construction, who the city has used for several years on their concrete flatwork contract. They did not get the contract this year, but up until April they had that contract. I utilized them a lot for Americans with Disabilities Act ramps with sidewalk replacements. MA used them a lot for concrete panel and curb and gutter and things like that. And so I have a high degree of confidence that they'll do a good job on the 7th Southwest job as well. Some of the other things engineering does is we intake and review plats as they come in. We have a plat review period of the last 2 weeks of every month, basically. and plat submission deadlines is right around the middle of the month. So we usually receive 1 to 10 plats a month, sometimes no plats, but that's very unusual. And it's an important function of our department because plats are permanently recorded for future generations. This is an example of a completed and recorded plat with the Lamar County Clerk, and it is placed in a digital copy, and then they also have a paper copy that's kept forever. We have instances of plats going back to the mid-1800s here in Paris, and they are all legal unless they change them. So whenever somebody has a property, Councilman Moore, your parents had a property that they platted a few years ago, that when they want to change property lines or combine parcels, they replat it, or they go through the preliminary and the final plat process. And there's a lot of properties in the city that are unplatted, believe it or not. You would think that just because the city's been around since the 1840s that everything would be platted, but that's not the case. And I really wish that they were, but part of our function is to keep building the city, and this is a main function of that. So our upcoming platting deadline is in about a week and a half, and so we're excited to see what parts of the city will be built next. I talked a little bit about Derek with the GIS operations, and this is an example of something he's done recently for the EMS department. Chief McMonigal and his assistant chief, Jason Dias with EMS, was asking for an updated map, and this actually extends beyond the city limits. This shows Lamar County itself. So Derek worked with Jason very closely, reviewed where the EMS borders are, because we serve the entire county with EMS. He went through this, and they went down from the center line of roadway to the center to each side of the property. Like, no, this EMS responding district responds to this side of the road, and so it was very close, and it ties very well into our COG that dispatches our emergency services, that they can zoom right in on that property and instantly know which district it is. And so with GIS technologies, and Derek actually was self-taught with GIS, and he can punch one of these out in about a week and a half. It's phenomenal, the value that we can get when we have good people in these positions. Here's another example. This is a little bit faded, but this is like the screenshot of average day in GIS. And this is showing from West Price going down to Grand Avenue, and from 3rd Southwest over to South Church Street. And each of those blue lines is a street. Well, as you know, the streets are the fingerprint of the community. They are very rarely changed. They're often added to, but very rarely disbanded or changed. So what Derek has done, and this is on his own accord, I did not ask him to do this, but he had the idea. He came to me, hey, I'd like to update our clickable and recordable street database. And all these as-built we have sitting on a shelf, many of them mapped and stored digitally, but kind of in helter-skelter areas. Do you mind if I put these into a functioning database that anybody can click on in the public too, and find? And if you're in my position, what would you say? Absolutely, please do that. So he's proactive, Steve is too, but just like so many city employees that I get to work with, they have these ideas that they work on in their subconscious mind even when they're sleeping. They don't know about it, but he was able to put this in. It's just an ongoing project for him. When he gets a minute, he starts from the center of the city. He's getting some as-built from the 1800s, and anytime we get a Freedom of Information Act request, once everything's done, either they can or we can go click on West Price Street and have 6 documents from the 1800s to the 1970s, or if we have anything newer, every as-built that has ever been done on that, and it's right there. That saves time in the future for any laborious looking through documents. Oh, I knew this was here. I hear that from Steve sometimes because he placed those in the flat files in 1987, and yep, there it is. He goes back to the same file that he put it in 1987, and it's still there. But we'll be able to do that digitally instantly, and someday Steve may retire, and we want to be able to be as efficient as possible. So those are the kind of things that Derek does in GIS. This is an example of the Forest Brook development. moving on to new streets and a new fingerprint in a different part of the city. As you know, the Forest Brook development is in several phases. The first phase is 50-some acres and 87 homes. And in line with increasing residential usage and commercial usage to hopefully bring everybody's rates either stable or bring them down, or at least no increases for a reasonable amount of time. The Forest Brook development and the 87 new homes they're going to start on this month, if they can get their final plat in, which I'm working on, because they are working on review comments that I gave them about a year and a half ago. But they are finalizing street names and getting addressing worked out with our fire marshal's department. And these are examples of previous and a road being finished. And you can imagine 87 homes lining these streets that someday you can take a walk with your family and friends and see the new homes that are being developed in Paris, Texas for generations to come. Another thing that I'm working on is for individual nonprofits or as needed upgrades for safety. This is an example. It's not labeled, but this is the Boys and Girls Club on First Street up near Fire Station 1. They came to me and another city manager staff last year and said, we are having a huge problem with bypass folks using First Street as a race course from the convenience store to their homes, and we need it to stop. These kids are being dropped off and picked up, and nobody is slowing. I can't say it. I need to tend away from always, never, nobody statement. Very few people consistently go the speed limit there or less. So they had a huge problem with folks speeding through that area. So we came up with an idea to place speed humps in. And speed humps are a little bit different than speed bumps, but this is something we're working through. This is an average kind of issue that we have. So what I'm proposing is that we, and we'll come to you in a future ordinance, but this is kind of a preview, that it's kind of it's a 3-inch wide, 8-foot long speed bump that can slow traffic down. They can still go 15 miles an hour comfortably, but once people realize they're there, they will no longer go 50 down this road because it will damage their vehicle. They're not always recommended for every road in town. We don't want them on Collegiate. We don't want them on 3 streets where it can have other detrimental effects. But this is one of the areas where folks need to be using North Main to getting through there. They don't need to be using this unless they're picking up and dropping off their kids or they're driving slowly through town on a Sunday afternoon. So this is a way to deter those high speeds and increase the students, the safety of the kids there. Yes, sir.
Todd, wasn't there some concerns about those being allowed on public streets?
There are concerns, and that's why we've been going through it for so long. And so I've been talking very closely with the police department, the fire department, and looking at other cities, what they've done. And other cities have used them. And it's not often recommended they go in just willy-nilly. They would have to be very closely studied. But in this case, with the alternate routes that are available, and the fact that people don't have to be going 50 down a 25-mile-an-hour street, it's something that I want to try. And it might not work either. So we have to take some amount of risk. But as far as the kids' safety, we aren't allowed, or we'd of course be allowed to post police officers on every corner, but it's not feasible.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the city being liable for damages.
And we
so
can
have
talk
warning
about
signs.
that when he brings that
Okay.
as an agenda item.
Okay.
Those are good points, though, and I'll try to research that closer so that I can have everything ready when we talk. But absolutely, with proper warning signs and research, I think it's doable. But this is one of the cross sections, and it would be privately built too. Either the Boys and Girls Club would pay for it, or they would have it sponsored to be done. So, other than limited striping, that white striping in there for the loading unloading, there'd be no city funds used. One example you're very familiar with. I just brought one grant project into this presentation, but this on average we have 2 or 3 grants going at any one time. And when I came here, I wanted to get as many grants as possible and just keep things building with as many outside dollars as possible. I have every confidence in the consultants we hire, but consultant management is also very time consuming as well. So I want to make sure that moving forward, I bring the best grants we can to your appropriation, but also focus on extreme needs of the city. So this is an extremely good opportunity for First Street Southeast, which is a street that really has been in poor shape for a long time, to be upgraded into a world-class street. Just bringing to mind, I was talking with John McFadden, our PIO, earlier this evening about the commercial that was recently done about Paris, Texas. And it was a very funny commercial. They actually were posted up on this street at this spot right here. And I hope you don't mind me, John, you're back there. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but he was talking to one of the producers of the commercial that they were surprised in a wonderful way that Paris was as beautiful as it is, and they want to use it in future projects for, modeling, photography shoots, more commercials, things like that. So that's exactly what we want. And this is one of those pointed grants that can be a revenue builder for the city in a long time, even though it's just one little block. It's one block that we're recommending be closed to only pedestrian traffic, but we got a pretty awesome Dr. Pepper mural, one of the only Cokes that was developed in Paris. That's pretty awesome. But it's a way that I could totally see commercials being built on here. It's already basically closed off, and bringing more tourists to the city and opportunities in that realm. Going back here, I'd love to I'll finish up with a couple other grants we're working on that I did not include in this because my time's getting short, but we have a First Southwest bike lane project from Hearn to Kaufman Street that we're finishing up. It is a TxDOT design project that we got a lot of money for, and our bicycle community is very excited about. Also, we have, as the ADA coordinator for the city, along with Duke McGee, our building official, Americans with Disabilities Act improvements to the city are a very high priority, and so we look at sidewalk improvements, ADA ramp improvements. You see one of the improvements right there with the new sidewalk as you walk here, that you don't have to go onto the street with a wheelchair now to get to this meeting, and that's what we were having people to do. So it's those type of improvements that you have allotted me a city budget, a portion of a city budget to do that every year, and that's something I take very seriously. Also, as the floodplain administrator for the city, I do a lot of drainage consideration for drainage improvements and seeing how we can use what we have and make sure that it is sized correctly for future generations. So that's not included. I wanted to throw some pictures in here, but you all know what happens with our city street system in a hard rain, that it becomes a river. My long-term goal for future streets that are built, I can't do everything about existing streets without tens of millions of dollars in upgrades. But for new streets, I don't want it to be an expectation that the city street is a river anymore. So I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Anyone have any questions? I had one quick one. Is there a way that I could request Mr. Dacus come up with a better district map for council?
Yes.
Because boy, the one we have is so antiquated. It's super old. But like I've seen Derek. We go back, old classmates. The guy has talent. But this we could really use. So that way we could hone in on, hey, this citizen here has an issue. Hey, after redistricting, are they in this district? Or are they in this district? That would be good to know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's a huge one if we could get that from council perspective, and that way even citizens may be able to look at that.
Yep, we can do that.
Awesome.
And that's very similar to the EMS upgrade he did, and because they have at the COG, they instantly put an address in, and it comes with the district, so that would probably be relatively easy for him.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Midke.
Much.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 17, discuss and act on a resolution approving and authorizing an economic development agreement and tax abatement agreement with EXL Capital Group, LLC, Jakir Malik, pursuant to the 5 and 5 Housing Infill Development Program. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. So this is about the 5 in 5 development program. And so EXL Capital Group LLC has applied for an economic development and residential tax abatement under the 5 in 5 housing infill development program to build 4 single-family homes on the following properties known as City Property Trustee and also Lamar County Trustee properties. They are LCAD 13833, that is 128 Northeast 10th Street, City of Paris, Block 32B, Lot 10. And LCAD number 13802-203 Northeast 13th Street, City of Paris, Block 32, Lot 7, that is county. LCAD number 10706, 1758 West Cielo Colonial Addition, Block 5, Lot 10, that is city. And LCAD 10707 West Shiloh Colonial Addition, Block 5, Lot 11, city. So the status at this point is that staff has reviewed the application and determined that the properties are within the program area and that the proposed improvements meet the criteria for the program. The proposed agreement attached hereto provides incentives under the 380 of the Texas Local Government Code relating to tap fees, building plan review, and permitting, as well as a residential tax abatement under the authority of the Texas Tax Code 312. There will be a transfer of city trustee properties and also county trustee property. All incentives are provided in the program guidelines and criteria. So, notice of the council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to this meeting as required by law. And the estimated cost of the improvement is between $130,000 and $150,000 per unit. And so the tax abatement will have negligible budgetary impact on the abatement and will only to the incremental value, to taxable value attributable to the required improvements, otherwise undeveloped property. For the recommendation, staff recommends adopting a resolution approving the attached 5 in 5 agreement for the EXL Capital Group LLC for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, any discussion, any questions we have about this particular item?
Have they identified which of the houses are going to be 3.2 and 3.1? One of the houses is 980 something square feet. It's just really small, but there's 5 applications. Have they said how many of each they were planning to do?
They're going to do in different series,
Okay.
but they've not determined which ones they're going to start immediately with. Yeah, so.
It's just, we've talked about this a lot, and having variety is good, but also making sure 1,000 square feet is a very small house. So, knowing that there's, with this new opportunity to live, that it can, house people with amenities and space, to actually have a family. But that was just my concern.
You are expecting something more than the 1,000?
Some of these are 2,300 square feet, and if it was you know, if they had 2 of those and 1 small, but
they qualify for that, but
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult to push them out of the
No,
what the code, the minimum code allows. So, but
Typically, I'm just curious, in the past, 'cause I'm having a hard time recalling because we've had so many 5 and 5, which is great. So that's the whole purpose behind the program. But are we able to look back and see what the typical square footage would be? I don't have an issue with passing this. I want to make that clear, but I just want to make sure, and I think to allude to what Councilmember Putnam is saying, you know, when we hear about 130,000 to 150,000 per unit, and then if it goes down to like 900, sub 1,000 square foot, we start thinking, is this thing going to sell, right? What's the price? Is this going to be affordable within the infill area? And so I think that's the general concern, I would say, is what we're feeling as a council. But again, not to hinder the developer, we're not trying to say that, but we are trying to understand, hey, what's the correlation between these smaller numbers of square footage? What's the purpose? What's the intent behind that? Is that a hindrance based off of cost of construction? Is that, you know, capital issues? Is that, what is that? What is that attributed to?
mostly these developers, they come in and let me put it this way: the financial aspect is very key to them. And so they sit down and sometimes they look at the project as a whole. Let's say they want to build this about 5 units, and if they are going to break even with about 3 of the units, then the extra 2, they might say that's their profit margin on that one.
Right.
And so if you begin to get into the weeds with them that you want to push all 5 for a certain number of size, then it's going to affect their cost, break even and stuff like that. So,
Yes.
but what we normally do is make sure they meet the minimum code, requirement. And if that is there, it's kind of difficult to challenge them from,
Yes.
going higher than so.
It totally understandable. I don't think, we don't want to challenge, but we just want to kind of get an interpretation and understanding as to, hey, if this is our limitation per the code, just want to understand that, hey, we're not accepting so many that are at the very bottom end of that code, right? We go a little bit further up too, but this is just a good understanding to help us.
Yes, and I've no problem approving this. I just think as staff, when every application, you should just look at the inventory that we have. And if there's a bunch of 1,000 square foot homes or the duplex, how we made some changes with that, just to know that we are, providing the right type of homes.
Yeah.
So,
And, okay, yeah, and so, I'm not in favor of the smaller homes either, but do they meet all the other criteria? Do they meet the standards that the city has set, to put on the lots that they're getting from the city, or their own lots or whatever? So do they meet all the criteria?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, so it's gonna be hard for us, or I know we're asking y'all to make this determination, but I think you were saying it's gonna be hard for y'all to say to this project, you bring it to us and we approve it, and then the next project, just because we have 70 of them in Paris, now we wanna put a stop to it. That's gonna be hard for you to, our staff, to say, no, you can't do it. We've done it, we've allowed 70 and now we can't allow any more. That's gonna be hard, right?
Yes, and I think probably the way to go about this is for, not apply that to any of the existing applications, but for staff to kind of keep a tally of what the inventory is. And, for example, when we saw that there were so many duplexes being built, then staff can come to you with an agenda item or a workshop item that says, okay, our inventory is such that we're kind of getting too much of X. And so it's probably time to reevaluate the program again to see if we want to put some limitations on the program. And then take that out of staff's decision-making so that
Right.
staff is not in the position of telling a developer, no, you can't do this because we've got so many houses. It's that they're going to come back to you and the council's going to make those decisions, and then the staff can then administer the changes that council has put forward.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and hear a motion on this item.
I make it a motion to approve.
We've got a motion to approve. Is there a second? Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 18, discuss and act on a resolution approving and authorizing an economic development agreement and tax abatement agreement with Invest Lamar LLC, Bergenholtz, pursuant to the 5 and 5 infill development program. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is also a 5 in 5 housing program by Invest Lamar LLC, and they have applied for an economic development and residential tax abatement agreement under the 5 in 5 in housing infill development program. They are requesting to build 10 single-family homes on the following properties. And they are City of Paris and Lamar County trustee properties. The first one is LCAD number 12820 Lane Place Addition, Block 1, Lot 13, 1300 block of Northeast Campbell Street. LCAD number 12998 Maxi Addition, Block 5, Lot 4, West Campbell Street. And LCAD number 12987 Maxis Addition, Block 4, Lot 1, 1560 West Campbell. And LCAD number 18397 City of Paris, Block 278, Lot 4A, Johnson Street and 15th Northeast Street. LCAD number 13758, City of Paris, Block 29, Lot 4, East Price Street. LCAD number 10186, Belmont Addition, Block 6, Lot 11 to 12, that is 1633 Fairfax. LCAD number 19930, subdivision of Block 170B, Block B, Lot 11 to 12, 115 West Nigel Street. Lot LCAD number 10964, East Park Addition, Block A, Lot 10, 1821 Northeast 10th Street. LCAD number 13975, City of Paris, Block 37, Lot 10, 229 Northeast 5th Street. LCAD number 18596, City of Paris, Block 300, Lot 6, 2514 Graham Street. The issue before you today is that staff has reviewed the application and determined that the properties are within the program area and that the proposed improvements meet the criteria for the program. The program agreement attached here to provides incentives under the Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code relating to tap fees, building plan review, and permitting, as well as a residential tax abatement under the authority of the Texas Tax Code, Chapter 312. There are transfers of City of Paris and Lamar County trustee properties, and all incentives are provided in the guidelines and the criteria. And also notice of this council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to the meeting as required by law. With this particular project, staff recommends adopting this resolution approving the attached 5 and 5 agreement for Invest Lamar LLC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, any discussion, any questions on this item?
When they applied the first, I remember this applicant from when we met with Trinity. Were you able to find all the answers to the questions as far as qualifications and some of the financing and those things?
Yes, as at now, we have gone through the legal processes and everything is good to go.
Okay.
On this, yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Well, also to add to that, I appreciate the patience that you guys have working with developers. At times, I know it can be tough when you've got a lot of things going on, but I know this developer has been very eager, and we're excited to have them comply to everything and go forward. So, please.
I've just got a question on the, I guess it's the 312 agreement part of it. It's in the 6.7 clause, mandatory anti-boycott and other provisions. Is that something, do we put that in there, or is that by law, does that have to be in there?
There are some, yes, that has to be in there. Are you
Okay,
talking about the Israel?
Yes,
and-
I saw that. No,
That's
I've never seen
statutory.
that.
The
Okay.
legislature has said that we have to put that in there.
Okay.
You know, because we deal in foreign policy and whatnot.
Back
Okay,
when
that
back
was-
when Ms. Knox was on council, we said the same thing.
Yeah, that was
we were like, "Oh
interesting
my
to see
gosh,
that.
what is this?"
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, if there's no other discussion or any other questions, I'll hear a motion.
Oh, not that I disagree. I'm gonna put that.
Yeah, there you go.
So
For the
I'll
record.
for the record, I'll make the motion.
All right, we got a motion. We got a motion and a second from Ms. Norman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 19, discuss and act on a resolution approving and authorizing an economic development agreement and tax abatement agreement with R4U Ventures LLC, Michael White, pursuant to the 5 and 5 infill development program. Mr. Amo-Mensah, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is also another applicant, R4U Ventures LLC, applying for an economic development and residential tax abatement agreement under the 5 and 5 infill program. They want to build 10 single-family homes on the following properties known as City of Paris trustee properties. We have El Card number 15383, City of Paris lot PT5, block 93B, 6th Street, Northeast. El Card number 10984, East Park Addition, lot 30, block A, 1685, 10th Street, Northeast. El Card number 10990, East Park Addition, lot 36, block A, 10th Street, Northeast. El Card number 19114, Park Card Addition, lot 1B, block 4, 944, 7th Street, Northeast. El Card number 19115, Park Card Addition, lot 2C, block 4, 1004, 7th Street, Northeast. El Card number 20484, Washington Heights Addition, lot 9 to 10, block 4, 412, Henderson. El Card number 12368, Hall Addition, lot 4, block 30, 1155th Street, Northeast. El Card number 17073, City of Paris, lot 2, block 190, 1347 West Houston Street. and LCAD number 1704, City of Paris, Lot 3, Block 190, 1337 West Houston. The issue before you today is that staff has reviewed the application and determined that the properties are within the program area and that the proposed improvements meet the criteria for the program. The proposed agreement here too provides incentives under the Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code relating to tap fees, building plan review, and permitting, as well as all residential tax abatement under the authority of the Texas Tax Code, Chapter 312. There are transfers of City of Paris trustee properties. All incentives are provided in the program guidelines and criteria. Notice of the council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to this meeting as required by law. And the estimated cost for this improvement is $220 million, and the discount described above. And so staff recommends adopting the resolution approving the attached 555 agreement with this company, which is R4U Ventures LLC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, I want to open up the floor for discussion or any questions. I had one question. I was a little confused, and maybe I'm not seeing straight here, but I only counted 9 parcels.
They're going to subdivide one of the lots.
Okay, that's what it was. All right. I had a feeling that was probably what it was, but I was like, I just want to make sure.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Do we know the average size of these houses?
The average sizes?
Square footage, huh?
It's not specific here, but they fall. It depends on the zoning that they fall in. But mostly, the minimum is the 1,500 for the SF2, and the SF3 is 1,000. Mostly, they fall between 2,300, and they use the market price to make sure the type of house they're going to build is going to sell on the market. So,
Okay, fine.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Move.
We've got a motion from Ms. Moore. Got a second from Mr. Ellis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Agenda item number 20, discuss and act on a resolution approving and authorizing an economic development agreement and tax abatement agreement with the Magnolia Paris LLC, Josh Bray, pursuant to the 5 and 5 Housing Infill Development Program. Mr. Amo-Mensah.
thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is also another project that the Magnolia Paris LLC is requesting for economic development and residential tax abatement agreement under the 5 and 5 Infill Housing Development Program to build 3 duplexes for a total of 6 dwelling units on the following properties that the developer currently owns. We have the Magnolia Corner Addition Lot 7R, Block 115, 8th Street Southeast. Magnolia Corner Addition Lot 8R, Block 115, 8th Street Southeast. And Magnolia Corner Addition Lot 9R, Block 115, 8th Street Southeast. The status of the issue is that staff has reviewed the application and determined that the properties are within the program area and that the proposed improvements meet the criteria for the program. The proposed agreement attached hereto provides incentives under the 380 of the Texas Local Code relating to tap fees, building plan review and permitting, as well as a residential tax abatement under the authority of the Texas Tax Code, Chapter 312. There are no further transfer of city properties. All incentives are provided in the program guidelines and criteria, and also notice of the council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to this meeting as required by law. And the estimated cost of the improvement is $450,000. Discounts on the fees described above is indicated, and the tax abatement will have negligible budgetary impact, as the abatement will apply only to the incremental value of the taxable value attributable to the required improvement on otherwise undeveloped property. So staff recommends adopting a resolution approving the attached 5-in-5 agreement with Magnolia Paris LLC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, I want to open up the floor for any discussion, any questions that you may have? If not, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make it.
Motion, Mr. Ellis.
A second.
Second from Ms. Moore. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 21. Discuss, receive bids, and award a contract to Pridemore Construction LLC in the amount of $301,243.50 for the 7th Street Southwest reconstruction project, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yeah, I would like to encourage you to ask questions about the 7th Street Southwest in addition to what I presented earlier, but in short, the 3 bids came in from Pridemore Construction, Richard Drake Construction, and Drake Companies, and bids ranged from $301,000 as the first bidder, $348,000 in the second bidder, to $377,000 in the highest bidder, and each bid was responsive legally, so I would recommend approval of the low bid for Pridemore Construction.
Thank you, Mr. Mitke. I'm going to open up the floor for council. Any discussion, any questions that we have for Mr. Mitke? I have one question. We have a lot of eager parents and teachers and admin that are really interested to see this project go through as quickly as possible. When do you anticipate that this project would start?
Assuming all the contracts can be signed, they can start as soon as Monday and be done in 35 calendar days. So that would be before school starts.
Okay. 35 calendar days. Thank you. I know it's summertime, but that's perfect. This has just been one of those that I've been really waiting on to see. Can we please get done? So thank you so much. Council, any other questions or discussion?
Make the motion that we approve the contract for 7th Street Southwest reconstruction project to Pridemore Constructions LLC.
Fantastic. We got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Moore. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 22, discuss, receive bids, and award a contract to RK Hall LLC in the amount of $1,935,221.70 for the 2025 mill and overlay project, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Mr. Mitke, you have a presentation?
Absolutely. As outlined in your agenda memo, 3 bids were received. All 3 were responsive, and the low bid at $1.935 million is encouraged to be approved. The second bid was $2.25 million, and the third bid was $2.296 million. So this project will undergo around the same timeline for beginning, assuming RK Hall, which this type of project involves more lead-up time, so it will very likely not be finished by the time school starts, but we are encouraging in the pre-construction process that the routes that are closest to schools be done first. and 24th Street Southeast be done one of the ending projects because of the sewer and water line work that's being done.
Council, I'm going to open up the floor for any questions or any discussion, anything that we have for Mr. Midkey.
Does this number also include the 300,000 that you had in savings that you wanted to add?
It does not include that.
Okay.
Yeah, so any consideration for using more money, and one point of note too, this budget for both of these projects come out of the same fund. So the 301,000, which we are splitting in half, plus some of the design costs with CEFCO, runs about $156,000 for our share. That comes out of the 2.62 million, I believe, is what's left in the interest-bearing account because it hasn't been accruing interest since the beginning of the year also. So we're going to do the math. I also have some third-party consulting services I need for concrete testing for the CEFCO project and for asphalt testing that we just can't do in-house for the mill and overlay. But in short, this does not include any extra money we want to spend. That's going to be basically done at as a change order at the current bid prices. One thing I wanted to note too is that this came in so much under estimate, and I was very pleased that it would do so, but it could have easily been above the estimate too based on oil prices, and I think we just hit the perfect sweet spot that crude oil prices were relatively low. Asphalt binder prices, which are linked to crude, but is a recycled byproduct from the process of refining oil, it hit low, but we're going to use that to our advantage to pave more streets or more sections of one street if we can.
Great.
I had one quick question. Is there a good, and you may not be able to answer this one, it might be Ms. Rose. Is there a good marketing campaign that we can put out there for PR or whatever? Because look, this is one of the biggest concerns that citizens have is the streets. Hey, we hear it, council hears it. We put this on one of the top things, and we want this to be publicized in terms of getting it out there, but then also on top of that, also for safety reasons of when the street is actually going to be, done. If there's nighttime activity or closures, daytime work, just want to see that, really happening there for communication purposes.
We are definitely planning a lot of publicity about this, including looking into signage on those roadways at the start and finish, just to let people know that we are at the city and you guys are all investing heavily into upgrading those facilities.
Great.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming, and so we really appreciate the entire staff coming together and really hearing council's perspective on this and taking the citizens' input on this too, so thank you. Council, any other questions or any discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve item 22.
We've got a motion from Ms. Putnam. We got a second from Ms. Norman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 23, discuss and act on adding a new position of Government and Human Resource Analyst. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. As you know, and well, as I know, Mayor Pankaj knows, several cities around the country are adding analyst positions in lieu of other positions as a support to many departments, and especially at the city manager level. And I would like to ask for you tonight to request addition of a position in lieu of filling the previously budgeted assistant and/or deputy city manager positions. A support position to myself, and it could be as a support to basically the city as a whole, also as an HR support, because we have a lot of employees and one HR person, and a lot of that work has been spread out and become somewhat disjointed for our staff and not as supportive as I'd like it to be. So I would like that person to be able to help with reports for me and for you and getting information when we're looking for it, but also to help with relieve some of the load of HR. So it would kind of serve a dual purpose. And I'll just read to you the City of Irving's job description for their senior management analyst, or the top, just the description part of the very top of the job description. Under general direction, this role is responsible for providing complex research, analysis, and support for the citywide project management. This includes identifying and developing organizational benchmarks, preparing related reports, conducting complex studies, research, and analysis on a wide range of municipal programs and functions. I believe that this would be a very helpful position to the city and to the city manager department. And I would recommend the approval of the analyst position. And the budget, I believe, we would put this on grade 325. So it is a professional position, and we would want somebody with a professional background to fill it.
All right. Council, I want to open up the floor for any discussion, any questions you may have.
What was the pay scale of the assistant city managers? What level?
Those are, hold on, sorry. Grade 385.
385.
And this would be 325, so it's quite a bit lower. It's about half the cost of those positions.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Got a motion? Second from Mr. Ellis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 24, discuss and act on a resolution repealing resolution number 2025-010 and discontinuing the city's residential tax abatement program. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Pro Tem, and council members. So we know this has been an item of discussion, as in 2013, the City Council adopted a residential tax abatement program for new construction and renovations to single-family homes, which could qualify properties to receive a 5-year de-escalating tax abatement. As per the background that Stephanie has typed up, it was definitely intended, if you look at the minutes, for infill, especially in the beginning in 2013 with the areas that were included. And then in 2015, the council expanded the reinvestment zone and the program to cover all 7 council districts. But still seemed as though no discussion was had that it would be used for new construction or development of new homes in new development construction. Since then, the program has been utilized no more than 10 times, which I think is really important to understand. And now there are some subdivision developers that are hoping to use this program in their developments, which would take the tax money that would be collected on a de-escalating scale for 5 years, which is staff's opinion unhealthy. So state law says that no applicant is entitled to a tax abatement, and in your packet you can see how Stephanie has highlighted that. And we know that granting large numbers of residential tax abatements would create difficulties in raising the revenue needed to maintain the streets and public improvements related to the abated properties. So as Stephanie has talked about in this attachment, we have limited opportunities to create or to get taxes now. Every day we're facing another way where the state is taking away that opportunity. So we don't believe that it would be in the best interest of the city to keep going with this abatement program, and we would recommend approving a resolution repealing resolution number 2025-010 and the current residential tax abatement program. As this being an abatement, it has been approved every year. We would like to recommend repealing it and then looking at redoing it and putting the language into this program that sets it out how we believe it was intended to be used.
Council, I want to open up the floor for any discussion, any questions that you may have. All right. If not, I will hear a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. We got a motion from Ms.
Second.
Norman. We got a motion, a second, sorry, from Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 25, discuss and act on an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Utilities, Paris Code of Ordinance to authorize the filing of liens for delinquent water bills on non-homestead properties, providing a repealer clause, a severability clause, a savings clause, a penalty clause, and providing an effective date. Staff, do you have a presentation?
I do. You are all aware, I believe, that we've got a couple of properties that we're running up some delinquencies, arrearages on utility bills. We have already in our ordinance the ability to cut off service for failure to pay a utility bill, which is very effective in keeping people current, but it's not very effective in dealing with arrearages. I recently found a section of the Texas Local Government Code that says that by ordinance, a city can also place utility liens on properties for delinquent tax or delinquent utility bills. Paris does not have that ordinance. So what you have in front of you is an ordinance that would authorize that. What it does, in fact, technically from a legal standpoint, is the ordinance itself creates the lien on anything that's in arrearage. You would only be able to collect that if you perfect the lien by filing it in the Lamar County real property records. But that would allow us then to stop any sale, because any sale of the property, funds would have to come and satisfy that lien. So it is an extra way of encouraging payment of bills. So that's what this ordinance does. It exempts homestead property, so your grandmother doesn't have to worry about if she gets behind on her utility bills that we're going to put a lien on her property because that's her homestead. And there are a couple of exceptions for some limited circumstances about utility bills in tenant names, but generally it would allow us to record those liens on commercial, industrial, apartment buildings, trailer parks. It would allow us to do that because those are not homestead. We recommend that you pass this ordinance and give us that ability, that other tool to get our utilities paid.
Council, any discussion on this item? Any questions?
No, I think we should pass it because, as Stephanie called it, a tool. It's a great tool to have in the situation that we're talking about, because that was one of my concerns. Can we put liens to stop them from selling and just being productive and still owing us all that money? So I think we should pass it.
Anyone else? Yes.
Can I just say one thing?
Please.
I just want to say that this is great work, because coming up with a way to get creative and figure out how to solve this issue was something we didn't even think about going into this all the way, right? Because we knew it would be good to have, and our city attorney figured out a way to get creative and get this done. And so I was really excited, and I know she was too, because it was a very creative way to go about it.
We're
So
excited
thank
together.
you. So
That's awesome to see that. So thank you for that praise and good work there,
yeah.
Ms. Harris.
You're well.
Awesome. So
I make a motion.
you got a motion. All right.
Thank you.
And there's a second. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 26, consider and approve future events for city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Sounds like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
The mayor.
Oh, yes. Oh, go ahead.
Just want to remind you all that next Monday night, you're going to have a special meeting for the purpose of appointing board members only. We sent you a lot of information today, and I've given you a paper copy in front of your desk there. Just want to remind you.
Okay. And I have something. I don't know if it needs to be on the future council agenda or not. The sidewalk project on Jefferson Road, which was TxDOT's project, but one of my concerns in the meetings with TxDOT in the city is who's going to maintain that. So I've gotten a lot of phone calls, and I drive by there almost every day. the grass is 4 or 5 feet tall in some areas, and you can't even see the sidewalk from the fire station on Jefferson Road all the way down to I think it's 3 residents before you get to Southside Baptist, which those residents maintain it, but before you get to that, you can't even see a sidewalk because the grass is so high. So my question is, who is supposed to maintain that?
Yeah.
So can we get an answer? I know you can't answer it now, but can we get an answer to that?
It's a great question, Mayor Pro Tem, and we will work on that. I know we've been discussing it, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Then we will move on to agenda item number 27, adjournment of this really long meeting. We've got a motion and a second. All right, from Ms. Moore. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0.